Hey guys, Muskie Road Rules Podcast, episode number 234. Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for telling friends. And, thanks for tuning in with us every week. If you're new to the podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe. It's really easy. You can find us on any of the major podcast outlets. Most importantly, probably iTunes and on Spotify. Just go to, Muskie Road Rules. On those, search them and hit the subscribe button, and you'll get a little ding when we upload one every week. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by the PMTT, Professional Muskie Tournament Trail. You can go to promuskie.com. We've got the Cave Run event in less than 2 weeks. It's going to be happening right down here on Cave Run Lake in Kentucky. Till there is still time to get involved, to sign up. We'd love to see you. The weather looks like it's going to be good. We've had good weather in the past. But go to promuskie.com. You can subscribe or sign up right there on the website. You've got till Monday the 24th to sign up, and we would love to have you and fish against you this weekend. On the phone right now, I've got two very distinguished gentlemen. One, Mr. Jim Stella from the PMTT, and then the other, Kevin Nash, a multi-time PMTT winner from Illinois. Guys, how's it going?
Going good.
I'm just chomping at the bit to go down there and throw some bait.
I'm sure you are. Jim, what's PMTT getting ready to start here? Why don't you kind of go through and let guys know if there's anything new, maybe something to look forward to this year in the PMTT?
Yeah, well, it's our 25th anniversary year, so can't believe it, but 25 years now. And Cave Run is actually the only place that we have been every year for 25 years.
I know. Tim had hair when you started fishing down here. He had a full head of hair.
Yes.
And I wasn't gray.
And I was 100 pounds less. Yeah.
There was a lot of things that've changed in 25 years. What so what's going on with the 25th year?
So one thing we did is we upped the payouts. So now instead of a $20,000 first place prize for the 25th year, now it's going to be $25,000 for first place. So that's a neat thing going with the 25th year. So now there's a little more money in there for first place. So Kevin's got a little more to go for.
Nice.
Yes, I do. We got to keep up with inflation,
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Another new thing we're doing this year is the PMTT Fantasy Fishing Contest. So a little bit before the event, we'll list all the teams fishing in it, and people can go in and put in their guesses and do just like a fantasy league kind of a thing for it. And then there's a lot of prizes given out, free entries into events and things like that for winning and stuff. So
with that, Jim, is that going to be an event-based thing, or for the entire year?
It's going to be
or both,
an event. So each event.
Okay, each event,
Yep.
And that's so they can do that starting on. But do they have to do it before the tournament starts?
Yeah, it's going to be before the tournament starts. We haven't released the whole roster yet, but as soon as we get to the cutoff date, then we'll release the roster so that people can see everybody that's fishing, and then they can put in their picks and all that. It's all being run by Mr. Steve Cady. He's running that thing. Yeah.
Well, that'll be a good deal. It'll give him something to do, which is what he needs.
Yes.
And don't folks follow us now on Facebook to have up-to-date catches and releases and for the PMTT?
We do the live streaming, all that kind of stuff on Facebook. I wouldn't know because I have no social media presence. As I said, social media is the devil. It's going to be the downfall of Western civilization. So I choose not to partake in that.
Well, I'm on the same page as you there, Jim.
Yes.
Jim, only social media Jim's got is Tinder and Farmers Only, and those fun sites like that. What else is happening with it?
That's pretty much it for this year. There's the up and the payouts. And it's not just first place. It goes all the way down to 10th place. Everything got pushed up. So
that's great.
The money was dispersed all the way down.
No, that's a good deal. So our first event is Cave Run. It's going to be here the last weekend of the month. It's something that we look forward to every year. And so it'll be on the 29th and 30th of April. And Kevin, when are you coming down?
I'm probably driving down on Monday, but I wish I was coming down 3 weeks ago because I like when this tournament is in the beginning of April.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that pre-spawn bite. And then later it goes. I'm not a big fan of post-spawn. That's why I go shoot turkeys after post-spawn. So
there you go.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be probably a post-spawn deal. We've had a lot of really warm weather down here. Today was kind of cool, but water temps are already right around 60. Probably, it looks like the week's going to be warm like last week. Today was cool. It was only in the upper 50s, but tomorrow's 70, and it's supposed to get up into the 80s again by middle week. And then we're going to have a little cool down by the weekend, but then kind of rebound right back up to, 60, 70-degree weather. So I think we're going to pretty much see a post-spawn here.
Well, I think also because you've had actually a lower water level than normal. Usually this time of year, 50% of the time, Cave Run is out of its banks almost.
Sure.
You got another 2 miles of lake.
Yeah.
The lake pretty much doubles, yeah.
I remember doing events catching my fish on the access road, half a mile from up the access road from the boat ramp before.
Exactly. And the reason I wanted to have you on here tonight, Kevin, is you've done really well at the Cave Run event. You've won it a couple times, and your presentation is a lot different than most people for early spring, as far as bait size and stuff. You're a bigger bait fisherman for the most part.
Well, when I first started coming down there, I remember Tony Grant telling me, "God damn it, Dash, you can't be fishing them big baits. It's a rattle trap bite." I go, "I'm fishing a rattle bait. I'm just fishing a 10-inch rattle bait."
Yeah. Yeah. Do you even own a rattle trap? I don't even think Kevin owns a rattle trap.
Well, no, actually, I found a box of rattle traps floating on Cave Run about 20 years ago.
Oh, there you go.
And I carry them with them in my boat. I do.
Somebody's boat sank, and Kevin picked up their box of lures, and that's what he.
Well, I left the bodies lay where they were. I just took the baits.
Well, I mean, it
was just floating along the top of the water.
You got to have priorities. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Kevin, your standard approach when it comes down to fishing like a shad body of water, something similar to a southern reservoir, like Cave Run, like Kincaid, like some of the stuff you fish in Illinois. What would kind of be your approach when you come to these areas?
Stay away from Greg Thomas because he's deadly.
He's an asshole. I totally agree with you there. What?
No, I fish the bigger baits. I'm not afraid of the muddy water. I tend to pick things apart. I'm not a running and gunning kind of guy. I got this, for all the years I've been doing the PMTT, except for here lately with my new partner, Jared, I've had the slowest, smallest boat pretty much in the fleet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get anywhere first unless I'm fishing the release point, which is what
I've heard
I did on the
Yeah, I've heard tell that you can actually watch grass grow while Kevin is casting.
Yeah, but the only time I fished the release point was there on the Chippewa flowage where I had 2 fish by the time people got out of line. So that was another story. But anyway, I never get nowhere first. So I find a piece of water I like and I just pick it apart because I know I'm not the first guy there. I'm looking for neutral fish. I'm not looking for hot, active fish because they've already been picked up as far as I'm concerned. I'm looking for neutral fish and I'm picking it apart.
Yeah, and that's something I think that's a lot of guys in these tournaments. I think they, I've seen it. We've been fishing it for a long time. A lot of guys are covering a lot of water, and that's something that you've never really done. I've known you for a long time, and trying to pull these fish out, and it's worked quite a bit for you in the past. And you like, I know you like twitch baits, big twitch baits. What is, your reasoning behind that? Just something that's kind of big and flashy?
And something that I can do. I want action. So, and I wanted to stay in their face and I'm trying to trigger a strike. I figure, I got my couple of strike zones. I know where I think they're going to be, and then where they might be, and then my last chance to where they're going to be. And I always make pause points at that. It's not different, though, than what a glide bait guy does. He goes side to side and big, long pause, and side to side and pause. But I do it with a twitch bait.
Sure. That's and it's something you've done all over and been able to get fish and stuff. How many times have you placed down here at Cave Run?
Well, I'm sitting here in my swivel recliner, and I'm got a beer in my hand. I'm looking at my trophies. I got 2K Run first places. I got 2K Run second places. I've got a fourth, fifth, I think, ninth, and all that hanging on the wall somewhere. And then I got my second place championship trophy.
Yeah.
So
it's
Kevin's one of I think the only person that has ever done a cycle. He's won every place in the PMTT.
He is, I knew he was close.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he had actually got it, but it's pretty amazing. He's always done well here at Cave Run. Jim, is there, like with the tournaments here, in the PMTT, if somebody's interested in it, how many, do you know how many times or how many states we've had involved in the PMTT or?
I do have all that information. I don't have it at my fingertip. I think that we have been in somewhere around 10 states, 10 different states over the 25 years. And then Canada also, too. So.
Yeah. Now, and do you know how many states we've had as far as like fishermen come from?
Oh my gosh, no. You got to remember, I've been doing a lot of things with the PMTT since like 2000. I wasn't there the first year. But I didn't really take over a lot of bookkeeping stuff until much later on, and the previous bookkeeper was not very good at keeping records.
Was that Tim Woodlack?
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Just not a good record keeper.
I can jump in here and tell you this. I have sat and had beers with a couple that fished from Colorado, and they did it with the PMTT for I think 3 years. We had a team out. We've had guys out of Canada. What?
Yeah, we had somebody from Hawaii. Crawford lived in Hawaii for a little bit there.
Nice. Yeah, we got, I mean, even at the boat ramps, you see North Dakota boats, you see Tennessee boats, West Virginia, New York, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Oh, we're getting them from all over. So, no, I just didn't know if you knew how many states and and even
that
provinces.
Would be a nice thing. Yeah, that would be a nice thing to track. It's unfortunately, I just don't have the records to go all the way back on that.
Yeah,
and the PMTT's also been from we've been from Chautauqua, New York, to Armadillo Country in Missouri. We've had tournaments a little bit everywhere.
Yes. Now, Kevin, are you going to fish with Jared again this year? Are you guys doing it together?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, are you guys fishing your boat or his boat down here?
Yep. Well, down there we're fishing my boat, and then in the rest of the trail we're fishing his.
All right. Well, good deal. You like the ride in his Ranger a little better on the bigger water.
Well, I like not trying. I like not worrying about drowning and dying. Yeah, I do.
I think because I just remember you at Lake Miltona, and
that was something. Wasn't it?
The tiny ship was tossed.
I can remember Greg on St. Clair calling for a judge boat 7 miles out in a freaking typhoon going on, and the judge refusing to go out to him.
Well, we had to get Bob Widlacki to come out there. I had to grab him as he was trying to come aboard. We about lost a Widlacki out there in that lake. Well, and Kevin, did you St. Clair? What did you have was it Ed sunk out there, right?
Well, Ed sunk out there before on a tournament I wasn't in.
Oh,
and he didn't sink. What he did was he swamped his Tuffy.
He had just as much water in the boat as he did out of the boat.
Well, that's what a Tuffy does. It'll never sink, but it'll swamp like a big dog. Basically, in Miltona, my boat was swamped. Me and Richie were damn near up to our knees in water going across the lake with the bilge pumping full time. Took me an hour to get across that lake.
And bringing up Eddie, too, we have that photo of Eddie having to put his plug in on the water, stripping down to the bear, and diving in to put the plug in because he forgot that.
Yeah, that was no one likes to see a naked Hageman.
No, and that was at Cave Run.
And
Yes.
the odd thing was, he really, when I talked to him, he said, well, I didn't think everybody would have cameras. Are you kidding me? We're required to have cameras. We're fishing.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, Jim, why don't you go over the rules and stuff for guys if they may be interested in coming and fishing it, kind of how they take the pictures of fish and register a fish and everything.
Yeah, tell them about that new rule, the one I really like where they all got to be facing the same way.
Yep. So, that was one thing that came from the members, and so we're implementing it this year. Whatever direction you hold that fish on the bunk board, your first fish, every fish has to be the same direction.
I honestly didn't even know that.
So
that was a new rule that we put into effect this year.
That way one fish can't show one side, and then 5 minutes later you show another fish showing the other side of a fish.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I get that. That makes sense.
Yep. So what you'll do when you get a fish, you have to have a bunk board. It has to be a legitimate bunk board, and then all bunk boards are also brought in for the top 10 at the end of the event, and they're all measured and checked too to make sure that nobody's messing with bunk boards. But we've never really had that. So, but you're gonna put your fish on the bunk board. You have to show that the head is touching the bump, and then the tail. If you want to pinch the tail, you can. You have to have a photo of the entire fish on the board. So from the head all the way to the tail, you don't take a picture of the head and a picture of the tail. We need to see the entire fish.
That's the way I like to do it.
Yeah, the entire fish on the board. You can take as many photos as you want, but you only submit one photo. And you're going to text that photo, and then you're going to take a picture of the fish while you're holding it up, and then you're going to submit that photo along with the size. Then we verify. We take that photo, and we can zoom right in. And you can zoom in and make sure. I mean, we've seen it where, it wasn't touching, and we have to go back to that person and tell them that, and then they redo a photo and stuff like that. So we've had that happen. But you can zoom right in and see where it's touching, and then we zoom in on the tail, and we can see, we've had people that, try to call a 40, and it's like 39 7/8, and it's just not touching the line. So you don't get anything that you're not hitting. So then they would
you guys
fall
have
back
called
to
some
a
of my
39
fish
and
back
3/4. Yep.
I've had some of my fish called back, and I thought, well, what am I paying this extra $100 to Stella for? Jesus.
Yeah. Well, maybe it should be a little more than $100. Did you ever think about that?
Well,
So you submit those photos, and then that comes to us, and then we give you a thumbs back, that everything's submitted good. A lot of times people put the fish in the net while they submit the photos just to make sure everything's okay.
And this is
and
all
then they release
texted.
the fish. Yep, this is all through text.
All right. So with your flip phone,
and then you'll
Kevin,
get a different sticker every day, color combinations that we will tell you the day of the event, what stickers to put on your board and things like that.
Sure. So I didn't know about the. I hadn't heard about, but I would have learned the always having the fish face the same direction.
That was something that we had some members, asking about that, and we're like, that's a good thing to put in. So that was something that we did put in this year. We put the rule up on the PMTT website. So the rule is listed up there if you go to the rules page, which you're supposed to do.
I always
read the
do.
Rules, Mr. Thomas.
I do phone a friend. I
We'll
just
see
text
the
you.
rule there.
I usually just text Jim Stella.
Yes.
But I have to say, Jim, that is my new favorite rule.
Well, I think it'd be good.
There's reasons for that, but we'll leave those. We'll leave those undiscussed.
But no, I can tell you though, because we do. When you zoom in on those fish, you get to see every little split fin, everything else, and especially if we have somebody that has the same size fish, we look at those fish, and you can definitely tell different fish. Even if it's the same size, you can see a split fin. Even if it's on the other side, it still shows through. And, then the next fish doesn't have the same split, and stuff like that. So it is easy when you zoom in on those things to look at that stuff. Because we've had people ask about that, somebody catching the same size fish twice. And is it the same fish? And it's pretty easy to tell that it's not.
Yeah, I just changed my expression on my face. I think that should be that should be enough. I think that definitely should be enough. Well, Kevin, are you have you been out fishing this year yet? Have you gotten any fishing done?
Well, I went down to Kincaid in February, and I hooked up with one of my old tournament partners, Steve Dussel.
Oh, great! How
is Steve doing, man?
Well, I'm telling you what, he's in better shape than me, and he's fully retired. He's going
hardcore.
Yeah, oh yeah. And, we went out for a couple days, and we only put one in the boat. And I'm going to say it. He got it out of rattle trap.
Nice.
This is a gentleman that goes up to Canada and sleeps in his boat under a mosquito net.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Or yes, he used to. I don't think he's doing that these days anymore.
Well, in his younger days, what did you get any fish, Kevin? Did you see any fish? Did you happen to even smell a fish?
I didn't roll a fish. I didn't even see a ghost.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
wow.
Well, musky fish is a humbling experience.
No, yes, shocking. It's
It is.
It's a lot of experiences all rolled into one.
But then I wanted to go back. I knocked off the intake for my live well while I was down there on a stump, taking in water. By the time I got the part up here, I wanted to go back. Then they got like 2 or 3 days of 5 inches of rain each day. And even Reeby was guiding down there, and he bailed. He said, "Kevin, don't even bother. It's flood conditions." So
yeah,
nope. So I'm chomping at the bit. I haven't fished even here because every time I get a chance, I hate to say it, but I'm working.
Oh my God. Kevin, that's not like you. What's going on here?
I know.
Actually,
man,
Kevin, I'm going to ask
in the way
you.
of fishing,
I'm going to ask you, Kevin. Have you ever fished Lake of the Woods?
One time with Eddie.
Oh,
Ed Hagerson. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, you need to come up to the northwest angle of the Lake of the Woods. I know a guy that's got a cabin up there, and this guy will let you stay. It'll be wonderful. The only thing he needs is gutters. Put on that said cabin.
So he's going to put you to work while you're up there.
No,
Well,
he can
here's
fish.
the thing.
He can fish as
Here's the
much as
thing.
he wants. I just need some gutters.
I am not bringing my gutter bus up there.
Well, I will get the gutters. I don't have a gutter bus.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll discuss this. We'll discuss this over a beer or two. I can tell you exactly what you need to have and what you need to get, and then you show me a picture of the house. I'll tell you how to measure it and get your runoff all set up. And yeah, I'd probably come up there for a free week and get your gutters up. Now I might have to bring a helper.
Oh, that's fine. Well, actually, I have a helper. I have 2 bulldogs that would love to help put up gutters.
I've seen. They can't even jump on the bed. They ain't climbing no ladders.
No, they're not known for their leaping abilities. The one is asleep right now against the couch with his legs sticking straight out, and the little one's right here trying to bite something. Pretty much anything that it can get its mouth on right now, it's trying to bite. So, but no, I need some gutters up there. So yeah, we're going to be talking at the PMTT about some gutter installations.
Well, yeah, yeah, we can work on that. I have been known to work for food before, so yeah.
Hey, we can always do something.
Another thing that I had forgotten about when you were talking about going through the process of
you win free gutters at PMTT.
Yeah. No.
Oh.
One thing too with your phones, and we go over this in the meeting, you have to have your location services turned on during the event, because at the end of the event, just like we check the bunk boards, the top 10 brings me their phones, and I look at all the photos that they took of the fish, and then I go into the metadata on those photos, seeing the location service data and stuff like that too. So that's just another check that we do as well.
So in other words, I have to give you my phone at the beginning of the tournament and say, hey, make sure this is all on.
It's real easy. You can go to the website. It shows you how to turn the location services for an Android or an iPod or iPhone.
It's easier just to go.
We have the instructions on there.
It's easier just to hand you my phone, Jim, and say, "Here, make this work."
You mean that doesn't automatically happen?
Sometimes it does. You just have to have it on your camera. So,
Kevin, I think I would just let Jared handle that.
100%. That's what I do. Are you kidding me? Just meet me or something?
Yeah,
we
Kevin,
use his phone every time for every picture.
And that's another thing there too. You got to use the same phone throughout. You can't keep switching partners' phones. So whatever phone you start with is the phone you stay with.
So Kevin, you just can't give them a Polaroid when you get back to the Perkins Center. It's got to be. You got to use Jared's phone. I think would probably be the best bet.
Can you even get Polaroid film anymore?
I think you can
I don't
still
even
get
know if
Polaroid film. I think you can still get it. I mean, I'm sure there's some very sleazy person out there.
I'm sure there's a pedophile somewhere with a Polaroid camera.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm sure a pedophile somewhere has a Polaroid.
Yep.
And I guarantee you there's one within 20 miles of my location right now. Probably. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Kevin, let's talk a little bit about, again, down here in the spring, I do a lot of downsizing for stuff. You're using, again, some bigger things. What is your, for your Twitch and stuff? Because I've had a lot of people, we've had a lot of people on the podcast and stuff talk about their equipment. For you, for throwing the bigger Twitch baits, what do you like?
Well, I run a stiffer rod. In cold water conditions, I run a 4X heavy Fever River rod. And then I run a steel leader just because I like where a steel leader will sink, and when you rip, it'll give you a little zigzag on your bait, Mm-hmm. Remember like the old Bobby baits and stuff, or Eddie baits always came with a steel leader already attached?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a steel leader guy, especially down at the cave in that muddy water. I'm a steel leader guy. And, and I like a stiffer rod because I'm trying to set the hook, and I'm not worried about keeping when the water gets up in the 70s, it's harder to keep the rod loaded with a really stiff rod, but for the action I'm looking to make that bait pop. So, yeah, I like a stiffer rod.
And
a steel leader.
What length? I mean, is there any certain length you like versus the other?
I ain't never measured a leader in my freaking life.
No, the rod.
The rod? Right now, I think my Fever River is, I think it's a 7.9. No, it's 8.4, I think.
These are quite the number combinations here.
Yeah, it's the same thing, only different, but it's stiffer than a pool cue, but it's got a fast tip on it, so.
Okay. Yeah. You think that allows the bait to really, when you pull it or pop it, it adds, you can give the bait way more action with a little stiffer rod there, way more contact. You don't have as much bend or anything.
See, I don't want a slow pull and flutter. I'm a popper. I pop that bait.
That's how Stella dances.
I'm a twitcher. I twitch my crane baits. I don't flutter and pull them. And so I get a stiffer rod, and I pop my jakes.
Mm-hmm. What for you? What would be like your top 5 Twitch baits?
Well, 10-inch jake has won me the most money out of all of them.
Sure.
Other than that, give me a 208 crane bait. 207 crane bait. Give me a 105 crane bait.
So you enjoy a crane bait?
I do. Bill crane made an excellent bait. They're not very durable, so you're going to have to do some maintenance on them, but because it's a balsa wood bait.
Sure.
But they got a unique action.
When Kevin, do you think you would throw a crane over a jake?
Over weeds.
Okay.
And through weeds.
So you like the
usually
crane?
post spawn. I go down to cranes for a little while, and then during the summer I go back. I used to not go back to jakes until the fall, but then I started talking to, Pete Blickard and Butchard, this and that. Next thing you know, throwing 10-inch jakes up there on 3 lakes and pulled out a fifth. So
yeah, the jakes you tend to like over, the weeds you like the cranes basically because they have a faster rise. They stay up higher.
Well, I can wiggle and jiggle a crane bait through any weed except for milfoil. And hydrilla,
Yeah.
Which we should never have to deal with. That's a Florida thing. Well, it's supposed to be, used to be. But.
Yeah. Well, I get that. But now, Kevin, I've seen you in a few tournaments actually throwing some rubber. You're an old dog, new trick in it.
I'm going in 21st.
Eagle River on a rubber bait one year.
Well, the little bulldogs for that pollywog bite.
Mm-hmm. And then
that was my first moment of frickin' brilliance.
Tell people let people know what happened there.
I went there, and it was a record-setting cold front on Eagle River. Matter of fact, the night before the tournament, I had ice on my tent. That's how cold it was.
It was in the end of June.
Tent.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Well, yeah, because there's a bunch of drunks in us all sharing the same house, and there were idiots in there because it was all you Kentucky boys. No. And shit. So I slept in the yard in my tent. But anyways, it was a record-setting cold front, and I couldn't find a pattern at all. I saw some deep fish on the steep breaks on the inside of where the current came through on the river on the inside. But anyway, a friend of mine needed to fish my boat, and I launched it, and all of a sudden I looked down, and there was 1,000 little pollywogs, 7 to 8 inch bullfrog tadpoles that hadn't frogged out yet because of the cold front. And I said, oh, that's gummy bears and muskies. And then so I worked on that pattern. Everybody thought I was freaking nuts, but 13 fish caught that tournament, 3 of them in my boat.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. And speaking of Muskie Innovations, the Spring Dogs, we just finished our top 64 lures tournament that we had for our lure challenge on the podcast. And actually, Muskie Innovations beat out Muskie Mayhem Cowgirls 114 to 104 in votes. So This year, the lure bracket, Bulldogs outdid the Muskie Innovations deal. It was a 53% of the votes cast went to Bulldogs, and probably two of the most popular muskie baits out
on
there
on
the planet. Caught a ton of muskies. Go to muskieinnovations.com or muskiemayhem.com. Check them out. That was the final 2 in the lure bracket. And
I'll tell you, those 2 baits are always in the top 10 multiple times every PMTT event.
Yeah, I would say that's something that I would say every muskie fisherman in the PMTT probably has in their boat. Multiples of those baits are from those companies. So yeah, I remember your pollywog bite there, Kevin. And that was quite the deal that you pulled those fish out of scattering rice up real shallow there and got them to go. And it was amazing. That was a tough tournament, but you guys were able to get them to bite.
Oh, it was amazing. And my partner, Mike Savitsky, he thought I was crazy when I suggested it. And then the wind was blowing like 30 miles an hour, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll hold the trolling motor, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to throw that bait up right up on the sand and pull it till you get to the first set of cabbage and pop it once before you hit the first set of cabbage, let it sink, and then just reel it to the boat. He goes, well, that sounds dumb. I go, try it. First time he did it, He said, "Oh, Kevin, I got weeds." And I know, that tobacco cabbage, weed up on that with a little bait. And I said, "You sure? Did you set the hook?" He goes, "Nope." Well, you can reel it to the boat. There was a 39-incher right there, opened up his mouth, threw it out. He goes, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want you to reel that bait up and don't let no one see it and put it out of the boat because we got 5 people watching us, 2 with binoculars."
Yep.
Yeah, that's like I was pre-fishing with Thomas on Eagle River one year, and got into a little pattern with the Triple D, and I had like a nice 40-some inch fish hit us close to the boat, and Greg is like, "Pretend like you got nothing on," because there's like boats around us, and I'm just standing there, and this fish is going nuts, and I'm like, "Not the fish," and he's like, "Nope."
No.
He's like, "Not until these boats leave." Because like you're doing nothing.
He was,
and then he runs out to the store and gets some spray paint and makes up his Walmart walleye to match my bait. And you were fishing by yourself, and you ended up placing.
Yeah, I ended up. I was doing it by myself. I ended up getting 2 fish and made the top 10.
I caught 2 40s the day before the tournament, and then my luck ran out during the tournament, and you got lucky during the tournament.
Was that the tournament, Stella, where you were giving Tom Dietz a chew and he caught one?
Right in front of me, yep. I stopped my cast, and he came over and gave him the chew, and he made a cast, and bam, nailed a fish.
Was that the year we had the hailstorm and the thunderstorm with the hail?
Yeah.
Well, I was fishing with Captain Dave that year, and he had the best bite ever. I got one on a triple D, but Dave fished a little rubber perch bait, and he dropped it down, had a cigarette, ate 2 candy bars, and kept letting it free spool down to the bottom. He said, "Well, I'm counting it down." He counted. He sat there, smoked 2 cigarettes, and ate a candy bar. I said, "Dave, don't you think it's down?" He looked at his watch. He goes, "Almost." I go, "Okay." And then I said, "Well, you better reel it up." He goes, "Oh, I'm on the bottom." I go, "Well, you better rip it off because my lure retriever don't go down. We're over a 35-foot hole." He says, "I found this a school of perch that completely gave us a false bottom. We're over a 35-foot hole, and it showed that we were at 10 feet of water." So we parked on it for 2 days. Anyway, so he tried to rip it off the bottom, and then it started shaking its head.
He had a pattern.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, sometimes you're better off lucky than good. There ain't no doubt about it.
I remember on Shelbyville, well, he was fishing by himself.
Oh,
and
yes.
He's trolling, and these guys are yelling at him, and he's waving back saying, yeah, and they're yelling, "No, you've got a fish. Your rod is going." And
the fish was flopping out of it.
He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they're like, "You got a fish."
Yeah, it was jumping. That's when Tony and me were over at Webster. That's when Tony fell out of the boat at the dock and about drowned.
Oh, I remember
and,
that.
I get back to the room.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I get back to the room, and all his stuff is laid out on top of the heater, like all his driver's license, his money, his wallet, and I go to the bathroom.
Didn't he like almost did the splits?
Oh, yeah.
As
He almost did the splits.
Pushing away, and he's got 1 foot on the boat and 1 foot on the
yeah.
pier.
We go to the...
And his tackle box is in his hand and everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, I go to the bathroom in the hotel. He was out of the room or something. I go in the bathroom, and there's sand and moss everywhere in the shower. And he comes back in the room, and I go, "What the hell's going on in there?" He goes, "First off, we got to get an insurance policy on me." What'd you do? He goes, "Well, I fell in." I go, "Jesus." It was a bit of a disaster. That little day was, but no, let's back to the PMTT. There's going to be other stuff going on down here. Tony's going to have a party at the lodge on Thursday night. Crash's Landing, the bait store down here, Matt and Greg, Blackburn own. They're going to do a cookout on Friday night before the tournament. All PMTT anglers are welcome. Also,
Yep, and they're great guys. They do that every year
Yep.
for the PMTT, and that's a real nice thing they do down there.
something else with Muskie Hunter, we're doing the same old. If you have the person that catches the biggest fish wearing Muskie Hunter apparel, where you can actually read the words Muskie Hunter, or
don't cover it up with your fish.
or the
Your
one thing we're
glasses
doing
and your hat.
this year too, Jim, is we're having Muskie Huntress apparel for the ladies.
Yeah, with Bree, I saw that. With
Yeah,
Bree.
with ladies. So if it's a lady catches it and she's wearing Muskie Huntress apparel, that counts too. You'll get an extra $250. I think, Kevin, you've won that before.
That's the best investment I ever made. I'm looking at that Muskie Hunter hat right now.
See,
And that hat is that $20 hat is. I think I won it 3 times.
yeah, I've had to give you money. It's I always cringe when I have to give Kevin Nash money. I don't, it's a hard thing.
And you guys, don't you guys have a couple of new places down there too?
Yeah, we're gonna have on at the tournament on the at the sign up on Friday at the Perkins Center. We're gonna have the what are you? Is it,
Sandstone.
yes, we're gonna have Sawstone. Saw, not sand.
Sawstone.
Sawstone Brewery is going to be at the where guys can. They're going to have some beers there on tap. Guys can buy some beers. It's a local brewery here in Moorhead. They make a Cave Run Lake lager that they're going to have at the event. Guys can go in there and buy a beer while they're waiting for the line, for they're waiting to sign up. But Sawstone Brewery, it's right in Moorhead there. Also, they'll be able to. They're going to offer some deals, a 10% off on carryout at Sawstone if you go in and pick up either a can or a growler, a crowler or a growler. If you mention you're in the PMTT, so. It's it's a good deal. They got some really good beers right here in Moorhead, but that's some newer stuff that we're doing, and I think it's just going to be a good event. I'm looking forward to it. The weather looks really good. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be cold. You never know about the rain this far out, but you can still sign up, guys. You go to promuskie.com online and you can check it out there. Hey, Kevin, I wanted to ask, and Jim too, are either one of you or either, know many guys running lithium batteries?
Offhand, I don't. I mean, I'm not saying that they aren't. I've just never really talked to anybody about their batteries and stuff like that. But I know, like, a lot of the kayak people, the lithium batteries are real big with the kayakers.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin?
I got a lithium battery in my screw gun for when I'm hanging gutters. But I've heard of some people getting them. I hear they're pretty expensive. But that might be the new wave,
Well, the reason I'm asking is I had several guys on the podcast talking about lithium batteries, and I'm just going to put this out there for guys. If anyone out there knows, like somebody that's a representative or is involved with one of these lithium battery companies, I'd love to get them on the podcast just to kind of talk about them, to talk about what they have to offer and why lithium is better and some of the pros.
I do have somebody I'll talk to you about that knows a lot of that stuff.
Well, just make sure you tell him Kevin Nash is looking for a lithium battery sponsor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
and he's a PMTT guy too. So,
well, I would like to talk to somebody, and if I'm putting it out there on the podcast to the point that, if you do know something, please text us on our text line, the Lunge and Lures text line at 606-776-6750. Make sure that you text us 606-776-6750. Lunge and Lures text line, all the Lunge and Lure products, lungeandlures.com. We got the new Alley Cat series of lures, all the 22 shorts, 22 longs, tons of good baits, and the bucktails, lungeandlures.com. But let us know if you do know anybody. Jim, I'll definitely let me know.
Yeah, I'll give you the guy's info. You probably even know him too.
Yeah,
So.
I'd just like to get them on here, and because I have a lot of people asking about lithium stuff, and I actually have a lithium battery that I was running my graphs off of, but I was having issues with it, and would just like to talk to somebody that might know and get them on here, because I think a lot of anglers would be interested in hearing what a lithium, some of the advantages, disadvantages, and stuff like that. But
yeah, because he's big in that kayak stuff, and he's the one. Actually, we were just over at his place, and he was showing us his lithium batteries. So
okay.
I'll set you up with him.
All right.
Well, from one thing, from working with him in the gutter business, I have found that when lithium batteries get cold, they have a hard time recharging.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've learned, and I've heard that with other people. The one that I have will not charge when it gets cold, and I just like to talk to some of those guys and kind of it'd be nice to get somebody on just to kind of go over all this stuff. Because it is an investment.
I had a girlfriend like that. When she got cold, there was no charging her for nothing.
I'm sure that was, but you tried, right? All right, Kevin, we're about done here tonight. Jim, didn't you say you wanted Kevin to regale us?
Yes, I need a poem from Kevin before we leave.
All right, well, I'm standing here in my living room, and I'm looking at a big pile of trophies. And I was thinking about this the other day. I said, I look at my marlin on the wall, my 10.5-foot marlin. I got my 30-pound turkey, and I'm looking at my trophies. I go, Kevin, in 10 years, someone's going to throw all this crap in a fucking dumpster. But I wrote this poem. 30 years ago, and apparently I wrote it for me. And you've all heard it before, but I'm going to say it again. Living and fishing sometimes are the same, because it's tall tales and trophies. They're all that remain. Because both living and fishing is fun till you quit. And then your tall tales and trophies and ain't worth a shit.
There we go. I love it. Right there. Hey, guys, Kevin, Stella, we'll see you next week. Cave Run, PMTT, go to promuskie.com. Sign up, guys, if you haven't. We'd love to get you down here. We want to get some more teams into it. We still got there's still space available, isn't there, Stella?
Yep, still space available.
Still some spaces available.
So you guys have until Monday.
Monday to sign up. Guys, I appreciate you guys coming on here and talking with me tonight, and I will see you two goobers next week, all right?
I'm looking forward to seeing both of you guys. And tell everybody else, it is an experience, and they ought to come on down.
Oh, yeah, everybody's got to do Cave Run once, man, especially if
everything's starting to bloom, everything's getting green. It's your jump start in the spring.
Yep. Where else do you fish?
Exactly. Come on down and enjoy it. Guys, I'm going to let you go, and I'll see you next week.
All right. You have a good one.
All right. See ya.
Take care, Greg. Take care, Jim.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.